Born ready. Hi there, Mike Dahlke. Welcome to Fight Club. And welcome to Tuesday, everyone. Happy Tuesday.
I hate your guts
Hi.
and love you. Welcome to Fight Club.
Oh, Lord. Welcome back to Fight Club, everyone, the show for home service business owners looking to improve their marketing, finances, systems, and culture. We're a team of self-employed industry experts, and we get to be joined this week by Mike Dahlke himself. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining us. We're super excited to have you on the show today. Do you mind just giving our listeners a brief rundown of yourself and your business?
Sure. Thanks for having me. First of all, I appreciate the opportunity to come on. I love Michelle and Megan very much. Today, first time meeting you, and Martha, if she pops on. So, not much of an introduction, just a small town kid who worked really, really hard and got lucky along the way. We've now got multiple businesses. We cut our teeth in a background check business, had a window cleaning business that we still own, have multiple exterior cleaning businesses that we own. And then our biggest businesses are an electrical contractor that has offices in Minneapolis and Nashville, and then a cabinet manufacturer in Knoxville, Tennessee.
So we've got hands all over the place. Multiple pots. This is going to be fun.
I ran out of fingers. I was counting and I ran out of fingers.
Me too. Let's do it.
Awesome. Well, we are probably going to touch on a bunch of different things today. So everyone who's joining, stay tuned, have your notepads out, be ready to go because we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. My segment's going to be about marketing. So if this is the first time you're joining the show, my name is Taylor Maroney and I co-own a power washing company in South Florida with my husband. And my background comes from marketing. So I love helping business owners understand the analytics behind it and what the numbers really mean. So that way they can make better decisions based upon those numbers, therefore grow their company and really start to expand their brand. So super excited to have you on with us today, Mike, and welcome back to Fight Club.
Thank you.
My name's Megan Likes. I'm the founder of Bookkeeping Academy Online. My passion is educating and empowering small business owners to know their numbers so that they can live more financially rewarding lives. I also have a full service accounting firm called Likes Accounting Company. I am a CPA based out of Northern California. I've been trying to retire from the tax world for quite a while, but love helping small business owners understand those numbers through their bookkeeping and CFO services. And I own a window cleaning, gutter cleaning company with my husband, Jeff, in Northern California. And I'm happy to be back on Fight Club. And Mike, I'm so excited that you said yes. I feel like you're just this quiet, behind the scenes, humble guy who just always, like, my ears turn on when you talk. And so I can't wait to spend an hour with you and pick your brain. It's going to be fun.
Love it. Hey there, Mike. I'm Michelle Myers, co-owner of Pink Collars, and we do remote admin services. So if you are overwhelmed with calls and texts and emails and chats and all that stuff, we can provide the human touch to your business and help alleviate some of those pain points in your customer service. And I'm also the proud owner of a Wise Coatings location on the East Coast. I'm the furthest east folk over here on this side, and my husband's out in the field doing the thing. And it's really awesome to watch that business start to grow right here in our house. So welcome, Mike. I'm thrilled that you're here.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And Martha's running a little bit late today, so she will be joining us a little bit later. She does handle the people segment. Actually, as I say that, it was like magic. Here she is.
It is like magic. And here she is. Hey there, Martha. Please introduce yourself. You're right on time.
Hello. I'm co-founder of Quality Driven Software. And I guess I am like a head down, work, and didn't realize apologize.
110 episodes, and it still surprises her. I love it. She's like,
this is my first time.
Let's do it.
Well, we are excited.
She forgot to say that she helps people build happier workplaces. That is Martha's gift to the world, and that is what she contributes, well, plus other things on Fight Club. Welcome back, Martha. We're happy you're here.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, how are you, Martha?
Good.
Awesome. Well, I get to steal you first, Mike. And I apologize if I have to mute myself at any point in time. My dogs are a little rambunctious this morning. So I know you said your kids are running around too. So maybe we'll have some double guest appearances on the show today. But as far as marketing goes, and really what I want to talk to you about today is you have a lot of experience across multiple business platforms and industries. So a lot of people are really struggling right now to, find the motivation to really market their company, right? It's a tough time right now. Everyone's been hurting a little bit here and there for, leads coming in and discovering their brand. And I really want to talk today about that motivation, about the mental shift of making sure you as the owner, as an employee, are really proud of your brand and really proud of what you're producing for your community. So in your experience, when times like this happen, what's really the first kind of thing that you like to kind of talk to your fellow business owners about?
Yeah. So from our perspective, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but leads are down across the country in all of our businesses, whether it's the East Coast, West Coast, or the center. It seems like now that people are back to work, they're not looking at their windows or whatever it may be, or they're just plain busy. And
Right.
from our perspective, some of the home services businesses are starting to pull back on marketing. We're doing the exact opposite. We're going all in, full force, 100%. All of the cost per click on Google is going down. All of the radio ads and the things that we're doing, the cost is going down. So if the ROI used to be 4-to-1, now it's 6-to-1 because people are pulling out of those services. So our approach to marketing investment has always been counterintuitive. In the coronavirus, we marketed heavier than anybody else. In the financial crisis, we marketed heavier than everyone else. When people start pulling back, that's when we're saying we want to go full force because the ROI is better.
I could not agree more. And this is where I love to talk about the number side of marketing, because that is very true. The ROI is increasing right now. And you have to think there are other businesses that are going to be, of course, popping up. People are going to think that this is a good time for them to start a business to bring in some extra cash to their life on top of what they're already doing. As you said, going back to work. It is back to school time. Reminder for everyone, that is starting to happen across the country. I know it happens a little bit earlier for us in Florida than most places, but as far as investing that money into your marketing, it's crucial right now. It's crucial to make sure that you are getting those leads coming in and making sure you're doing it from the right avenues, from the right marketing kind of funnels that are coming through. So when you do start to increase those marketing budgets, Mike, what is really the first one that you like to focus on?
Well, I'm going to answer that two ways, if that's okay.
Perfect. I love it.
The first thing we do is we're going to increase the communication of our existing client base. And more so on site, we're going to talk about upsells. We're going to talk about other things on site where we can get a bigger gross margin, which Megan may talk about, so that we have the resources to invest in the other stuff. And then we're going to look at the things that we're currently doing. We have a mentality we call firing bullets versus cannonballs. So some of the stuff we're doing is already cannonballs, like our radio advertising. We're throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars to that. We know it works. We know how to do it. And we're going to look at that and we're going to see if we can dial it up a little bit. And then we're going to start firing what we would call bullets, things that we're not doing yet, that we are going to shoot little, we're going to calibrate that rifle before we throw a lot of money at something. So right now, we're testing TV ads, we're testing influencer spending, we're testing I forget what it's called, the thing that tracks wherever you go, and then you can, if you go into here, if you go into Target, we can market to all the people that went into Target.
So we're talking about geolocating there, kind of
Yes.
geolocating the individuals that Mike wants to be able to target based upon their spending and travel kind of the area.
Yes, absolutely. So we're testing lots of different things, and when we find something that works, we'll throw more and more and more resources towards it. So we'll increase the contribution margin with our existing clients. We will look at our cannonballs that we're already going and say, what can we increase without losing return? And then we'll look at what can we test? What are the good ideas out there? What are people talking about in the industry that we can throw some tests out there and see if any of it works in our market?
Awesome. Okay, so just to recap what Mike said, he is not only doing cannonballs and bullets when it comes to the marketing side of spending. So when he talks about cannonballs, he's talking about his major money producing lead ventures, which are his radio, some more TV stuff, but he's also, very hyper focused and targeting smaller campaigns to test those out, A/B test, make sure that something is going to work that could potentially turn into, as Mike says, a cannonball, which I love. This is a really fun kind of analogy. Then from there, he increases the communication with his technicians to their clients. And that is very important for upselling the overall gross of that job. So I do want to touch on one last thing. I know I'm taking a lot of time and I love you all so much, but I have one awesome last question I want to ask, because influencer marketing is something that has come up a lot. I will say I myself am working as a micro influencer outside of doing what I do with my husband for pure power washing. So it's something a lot of people in the service industry are beginning to talk about. So I know it's still in a testing phase for you, but I'd love to know your experience on this, because it has been conversations that have been brought up in groups, in, you know, casual conversations at conventions, how that could potentially work for the industry.
Well, it is very early in our test. We have done Macaroni Kids, sponsored and advertised with the various Macaroni Kids influencers across the country and had success.
Awesome.
What we have tested recently, I would say it's too early to tell. But what we're finding that a lot of the influencers that we're targeting for home services is an opportunity to trade. We'll clean your house in exchange for you doing an ad. And then, you're going to come clean my house every week for me, doing my ad on my show? Absolutely. Or we're going to do these type of things. So we found more right now, our success has been less about paying, but more about trading for a service that maybe the busy mom who's writing Macaroni Kids does not want to do in exchange for advertisements on her page.
Awesome. So that is a great tip. I will say, as a micro influencer myself, a lot of the smaller influencers do tend to gravitate towards trading. It's an easy option for them. I would assume I would have Megan talk about the tax side of that, but we'll handle that another day. As far as working with paid advertisement, this is an option as well for influencers. So if this is an option that you have been looking for, there's no harm in testing that out. Find someone in your community that has the reach, that has the community engagement, and that has the opportunity to be able to showcase your brand on their page. This is something that is normally very low cost, and as Mike said, can be a trade as well. So thank you so much for spending some marketing time with me today, Mike. I appreciate all those golden nuggets you're able to drop in our 8-minute segment there. So I'll go ahead and pass you over to Megan so y'all can talk some finances.
I want to continue that thought for one quick second, because I've thought about this micro influencer thing also. And like Mike said, I don't feel like I have any real data about how successful it was, but don't be afraid of looking on Nextdoor, looking in the Facebook groups. Who's the homeowner that gets the squeakiest? Who's the one that gets the most comments? Maybe that's a micro influencer who doesn't have a traditional model, but you could reach out to and offer a service to. We have a woman in our town who was doing a daily TV show during COVID. And so we reached out to her and said, we'd love an opportunity to clean your windows in exchange for some screen time on this TV show. And a quick note about the tax side. We don't talk about trades very often because they're hard to account for. But if you are providing a service, whether you receive income or not, if you receive a benefit, you're supposed to book the benefit as taxable income. So that is, I'm not your tax accountant, but that is my tax advice for those trades. It's quite simple. You just throw a journal entry. Whoa, I've never said that on Fight Club before, but a journal entry where we book income and we have the advertising expense. Sorry, Mike, we're not going to start there. That's a disservice to Mike being on the show. The fact that I said the word journal entry, I apologize. Kelvin, you can edit it. It's fine. Okay.
Hey,
Mike,
can I tell a quick, really good influencer story first?
Yes, does that have to do with Bobby Walker?
Yes.
He's the king of influencing.
Yes, this
Great.
is actually, so me and Bobby are partners on his pressure washing business in Orlando, and this is the most successful influencer campaign we ever did. Bobby was throwing clip flyers, which for those that don't know, you basically throw a flyer by the mailbox, people pick it up, they say, pressure washer, and they call. It's not the most sophisticated method, but it works. Well, somebody got one of Bobby's flyers, was really angry about it, walked through the neighborhood and picked up all of the flyers, posted it on Facebook and said, this guy's throwing trash in our yards. We need to call the police, all these type of things. And somebody else commented and said, how dare you try to stop this guy from running his business? My new mission in life is to get him all kinds of clients. And it started to circulate. All these people did. So Bobby called the guy up and said, I'm going to give you a free cleaning. gave the guy a free cleaning, and then it started to spread that everyone was trying to protect Bobby's business down there instead of
Wow.
just this guy picking up all his marketing. So you never know.
You never know.
That was the best one we've ever done,
You
unintentionally.
turned that differently. I thought you were going to talk about Bobby as an influencer, but how Bobby found an influencer. I
Yes.
love it. That's very, very cool. Interesting. We've had to pass out flyers. I love hearing you guys say leads are down across the country, because I was definitely taking it personally. I was like, I'm literally watching my call volume go down every week, and it's kind of leveled. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but it's just leveled at a lower volume, which is typical for August, but it started a little bit early. Okay, Mike, I haven't done this in a while, but we're supposed to talk about money, and I feel like you and I talk about money quite a bit. So there's a lot of different ways that we could talk about money. So I'm going to give you 4 choices. You're going to choose the one that makes your heart sing, and then we're going to go with it. Okay?
All right.
All right. We could talk about selling a business. Like, what was it like the first time you did it? You know, a 5-minute rundown of the things you wish you'd done differently or done in advance of selling it. We can talk about buying a business, because I feel like there's going to be a ton of opportunities to buy right now. And I've actually had 3 calls in the past week with window cleaners who are like, hey, I have this opportunity. What do I do? We could talk about recession, which I feel like Tay was like tiptoeing around that word in her segment, but she didn't actually say that word. So what does it mean to be in a recession, and how do we operate our businesses that way? Or probably my favorite thing to talk to you about is time freedom. We can talk about building a business so that we can have some time freedom. So which of those 4, you can't choose all 4 because we only have 8 minutes, which would make your heart sing the most?
Well, I think time freedom, because you said it was your favorite, and so we'll do that. And I think I've only sold 1 business or 2 businesses, and I wasn't very good at it. So we'll go with time freedom.
Go with time freedom. Okay, so tell me, like, I had a call with a guy yesterday who we had a great chat in May, and he was talking about all of this, you know, not trading time for money. And then he got onto a new product line, and he was selling me trading his time for money. And so I was calling him out, and I was saying, hey man, like, I can't even buy this thing because it goes against everything we're working towards. I'm sorry. So tell me some of your rules when you're looking at, because you get, I'm sure, I'm going to say propositioned. I mean that in the most polite way possible, but I'm sure lots of opportunities come your way. So what is your filter for not trading time for money when those opportunities come your way? And this actually kind of ties into the buying a business thing, because I think if you're watching opportunities come your way as a home service listener right now, hopefully this will be a good filter to help you through. So Mike, what do you do? Somebody's like, this is a great opportunity, great business opportunity. What's your first thing you do?
Okay, so the very first filter is I'll only do things that are directly related to my faith, my family, or my business. So if I can't, I don't do a lot of the fun stuff I used to do, like mountain bike or triathlons or whatnot, because you can't do it with your family. You can't really do it with your business. So the first thing with time freedom is that's the first filter. If it doesn't correlate to one of those 3 things or all of those 3 things, it's out automatically. The second thing that I think about with time freedom, I had for a long time, and I've changed it a little bit now, I had a rule that I wanted my passive income to exceed my lifestyle and my active income to grow by 10% a quarter without increasing time at all. So if I was working...
You gotta slow down. These are like so good. Okay, so first step, passive income exceeding his lifestyle. So to define passive income for our listeners, this means he's not trading time for money anymore. He has invested some money at some point, and he is getting a return on that investment, and that return on investment is spendable, and it is more than how much he needs to, you know, feed his family and keep a roof over their heads and have a little bit of fun. So first step, he said passive income, which is something that everybody who accumulates wealth talks about, right? So you're no longer, that's not money from you cleaning a window. That's money from, you know, your manager managing somebody to clean a window, I think. Would you define passive income that way?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. So then the second step, he said, was his active income, which is the money that he is earning by trading his knowledge and his time, the money he's actively earning. What do we want? We want it to grow by 10% a quarter without you trading any more time. Is that what you said?
Correct.
Okay. So every quarter, his active income is going up by 10%. but he is not adding an extra hour to his work week to make more, or 10 hours to his work week, or taking on a new venture. He just wants that to be growing. How do you measure that?
I check the bank account at the end of the quarter. No.
And you check your wife. You're like, was I home for
Yes.
dinner 5 nights this week? Okay, good, great. Oh, only 4 nights. Uh-oh, I slipped. Or how does that work?
Yeah, so in our house, I've got to be home by 4:30, or I have trouble coming my way with 3 kids. So I'm home at 4:30, regardless, no matter what. I start really early, and now I'm not as active as I used to be as far as out participating in things that earn me income. But when I was, there was, I'm home by 4:30, so I could gauge it, and then I had an income goal that I wanted to make for the quarter. And so for a long time, it was just, I'm just going to raise the price for the things I was doing, turnarounds and whatnot. And I just kept raising it and raising it
like
and raising
hourly
it.
rate, 10%, just hourly rate every quarter, 10% up. I mean, that's the easiest way to do that.
It was wonderful. And then it gets to a point where that number starts to get big enough where you have to be creative, and you have to think of new ways to sell things or do things or participate in the economy that is completely irrespective of your time. And your time has nothing to do with it anymore. It's all about that creative and what you did to package it up. So I'm not as active anymore in business as far as operating. I still help operate one that is a turnaround. But outside of that, now we're focused more on investing, creating new ideas, packaging concepts, things like that. So not as active. So it's not my rule. It's not as hard and fast. Oh, we got a cat.
Hi, kitty. Okay, can we go back to when you were a window cleaner?
Yes.
Like, how do we get to passive income? I feel like this is where I'd say 90% of businesses get stuck. They never get off the glass. They never get out of the truck. They never get out of the office. And I feel like that's kind of how I would measure those steps of success in business. You got to get off the glass. Then you got to get out of the truck. Then you got to get out of the office. And a lot of people get stuck somewhere in that chain. And it's not really passive until you get out of the office, in my opinion. Do you agree?
I agree.
Okay, so how do we get them out of the office?
Yep. So there's a couple of components that's part of my story. It doesn't mean to be a part of everybody's story, but the one that's probably the biggest influence in that is me and my wife had a very, very low key lifestyle. We made a ton of sacrifices up front early in the business. We both left big paying jobs. And we lived off of next to nothing. I think I was making maybe 40,000 is what we were taking home. She was less than that when she was working in the business. So we consistently lived at that lifestyle. And until we bought our new house, our lifestyle never exceeded $70,000 a year. So we kept it really low, even though we were making significantly more than that. And now that we've got a new house, it kind of screwed that up. But we were making
Are we going to talk about the pool, or we're not going to talk about the pool? Okay, we won't talk about the pool.
Yeah. It'll be awesome when it's done. And I was hoping it'd be done before everyone got here for the huge so we could have a pool party, but I don't know if it's going to be done. But anyways, that was the first thing. We kept our lifestyle expenses low, and we took everything and reinvested it. Not into the stock market, though we did some of that. Not into the savings account, though we did some of that. But we were investing it into other businesses and other things. And
so we got to pause here for a second to let it sink in. So what I'm hearing Mike say is, even though his business, let's say it was throwing off 100,000 a year, he was only taking 40. Then when his business was throwing off 250,000 a year, he was only taking 40. He was not robbing his business of cash. He was not stealing from the piggy bank. He was keeping his lifestyle lean, and he was building in room in his business. And let me tell you, which he didn't say, but I'm going to infer, that left money in the budget to start replacing himself. I think often people can't get out of the truck or off the glass or out of the office because they're taking more from the business than the business can really afford, and they're not leaving enough to make that big hire to start replacing themselves in different areas of the business. So I love that. And then he started to invest in things, and we can start simply with investing in our own company, right? Buying that next truck, investing in that next person. And he's taking us to the next level where I've always loved this about you. I forgot that you say this, Mike. Mike doesn't invest in the stock. Well, maybe he does, but where's your preferred investment route when we have extra money? Where do you like to spend it?
100% with entrepreneurs will take really good care of the people that work for them. that's where we're trying to put our money.
Yeah, I love that. And he gets really passionate about this, but I wasn't going to put that comment on that. That's just, Jeremy, that's just making me blush. I don't even know what that means. I don't know who put that up. But Mike believes in business. Mike loves business, and he believes in home service, right? And you're showing that with all of these different avenues now.
Yeah, I think I've told you the story, Megan, but we were walking in our old neighborhood, me and my wife, and we had Dan was running Blue Skies. We were doing really well. Our lifestyle was still really low, and we had free money. And we thought, man, what are we going to do? We could invest it. We could buy a condo on the beach. What are we going to really do? And we decided that the best way to make an impact in the world, outside of the money we were already giving to charities and church and things like that, was to tithe, if you will, into entrepreneurs. We would send our money out to the entrepreneurs to help them grow. They would use it to build their systems or do the things that they needed to do. And if that money came back, great. And if it didn't, that was okay too, because it was money that we were looking at it as almost charitable giving more than an investment. And to this date, I have only spent one distribution check in my entire life, and it's going in the back right now for the pool.
We are going to talk about
that,
the pool. We are talking about the pool. I'm so glad.
Yeah. Otherwise, every dollar that we've made has been reinvested in other entrepreneurs and other avenues, and it continues to grow and it continues to be more fun, and they continue to take great care of people. And that is something that we are really passionate about. We've got what we want. We've got more than we ever thought we would have. So we've been blessed to be in a position to invest in other entrepreneurs.
I love when Mike says we, he also means Mike and Alex. Like, I love how you talk about your investment portfolio as a family. You don't ever I really can't wait to meet your wife, because she's up here as far as I'm concerned, because of the way you talk about her. And I think that that's so respectful. These are family decisions, right? They had to both sacrifice. They had to both be on the same team, that like, we're going to live for 40K, you know? And I feel like I hear it all the time. Well, my wife deserves this, or my wife needs this, or my husband needs this, or my kids need this. You have to be disciplined together in order to make something like this work. And what a choice that, hey, we're not going to go invest in that beach house. We're not going to go we don't invest in fancy cars. We're not going to we're not going to go waste money on a fancy car. We are instead going to keep contributing to our economy, and we're going to go help the next person who's kind of stuck get unstuck, so that they can go make an impact. I love this. I absolutely agree that as far as our impact to the world, which I talk about a lot, we're making an impact right now with our teams, right? If you're self-employed, how you treat your employees is making an impact in the world. How you give back to your community is making an impact in the world. How you serve your community through the service that you offer is making an impact in the world. I'm dying because Dom just bought another fancy car, and I gave him so much shit for it. It looks exactly like the last fancy car. That's funny. But we are making an impact, and I like that you've been really thoughtful about that, Mike. And to recap what I heard, because we started this with time freedom. So he has an impact filter, and he said if it doesn't have to do with faith, family, or business, he doesn't do it. That's a sacrifice, and that takes discipline, because I bet really cool opportunities come up to Mike every single day that he has to say no to because he has this impact filter. So discipline is important, and then being really disciplined with our money. And I think something that maybe, I don't know if you meant to share or not, but you need to do it with your spouse. You need to do it with your family. Like, this is a family choice. If you're on the same team, it makes it easier to say no, and it makes it easier to say yes. Thank you, Mike. That was amazing. I could hijack the whole hour, but I'm not going to. I'm going to pass you to Michelle, and you guys are going to talk about systems.
I want to talk about systems, but systems schmistems today, because I want to piggyback on what Megan said and talk about people. I have a note here in my notes app on my computer, Mike. You talked to a group of people on a webinar on August 19th of 2020, and it was so impactful. I still have literally every word you said. So I pulled this up because I'm fangirling for a minute, and I'm going to talk to you about how you started this talk was sheep and shepherds. Do you remember this idea at all? Because I think that it is actually a system is how you see your people and how you manage them in this really unique way. So can you dive into that? And I've got all the points here on the board. If you need any prompting, I've got them all written down, but I know you've got it in your brain. So tell me about that system.
You know, I used to talk about that system all the time when I was an operator, and now I'm going to butcher it.
Okay, Clint, it's okay. I got it. I wrote it all down.
I'll do my best.
Okay.
So it's based on the parable of the Good Shepherd in the Bible, when there's he maketh me lie down by green pastures, right? There's the sheep that the shepherd helps lie down. Most people think that's about dying and all these things, but really a shepherd's job is to protect the sheep, to take care of the sheep in a way that it feels good about lying down versus moving around. So there's 4 things that you got to do to make your sheep feel comfortable in lying down as a good leader. You got to give them, for the sheep, they need food, they need water, they need protection, and then they need the shepherd to rub the staff on their back and look for any parasites that might be there that could infect one and affect the full flock. So taking that to leadership in our business, the first thing that you got to do is make sure they have water, the basic sustenance for life. So they have to make enough to be able to survive doing what they're going to be doing. So you can't pay them so little, you can't treat them so bad, you can't not give them equipment. You have to give them the very basics, which would be water in the sheep example. The second thing you got to do is you got to give them food for growth. So you have to be willing to invest in the growth of the people, not just the basic sustenance. So you have to be able to resource them. You have to give them opportunities. You have to be willing to talk to the people that want to grow and learn and develop. So you got to give them food for growth. So then the third thing is protection. They've got to know you've got their back.
Yeah.
If they get in a customer complaint, and even if they're right or wrong, you've got to have their back. They got to know that you're going to take care of them. They got to know you're on their team and that you're going to protect them the same way a shepherd would a sheep if a wolf came by.
Yeah.
And the last one is the rubbing the staff around the back. And this is the hard one, and looking for the parasites.
Mhm.
One parasite in one sheep can infect the whole flock.
Yeah.
One little thing in a person that works for you will eventually become a big thing. So when the person shows up late once and you say, it wasn't a big deal, and then they show up late again and again and again, it gets bigger, and then it starts to affect the whole flock. So your job as a leader in that instant is to deal with the little things before they can go big things. Kick over the rocks, look for the squiggly, ugly worms under there, and deal with them before they become big things.
Yeah.
How did I do, Michelle?
Well, you did it. You did great. It was verbatim. You did fantastic. So what I'm hearing is that you have this idea, this concept, this system for managing your people, and you're thinking about all their needs first, right? That's what I heard. You're thinking about the food and the water and the protection and the parasites. So as a business owner, we really have that huge responsibility. I will tell you, based on that talk, I also, a little bit further down in my notes, grabbed your leadership development plan. And that's another thing that people could maybe, while leads are down and while things are maybe slower, maybe they could implement something like this. Tell me about how you implemented a leadership development plan, and then I'm going to share a resource at the end.
Yeah, so at Blue Skies, we had what we call the PDP, LDP, and then an ELP, personal development plan, a leadership development plan, and then an executive leadership plan. Yeah. So the first one, they read a couple of books. It was, I think, Gung Ho, Raving Fans, and maybe the E-Myth. I can't remember anymore. And we still do it. And the books have changed. They had to listen to a couple podcasts, and then they had to travel to one of our other locations or a friend of mine's location to get outside of their comfort zone and see how people did it differently. So there was a development of the human and trying to make sure that we're becoming better people. Once you graduated from that, we went into leadership development. It was 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. It was boundaries for leaders. It was another 5 levels of leadership by John Maxwell. And then again, podcasts, and then travel outside. And then the executive leadership was again, Good to Great by Jim Collins, and other books that were more focused on executive level leadership. So we were trying to graduate people through, and felt like if we gave them that, food for growth, that career path, that they would stay with us longer.
I love that. And we do that here at Pink Collars. And so we fully adopted it based on that talk a couple years ago. And I give you and Dan all the credit and tell everybody how awesome this was, because it's really helped our business. So both of those are incredible systems. I think the other thing that I absolutely loved is that you really state very plainly to your people that as a business owner, what you owe them, right? You owe them a healthy, growing and vibrant company, and you owe them creating opportunities, but you don't owe them a job. Tell me how you message that to people, because I think that's another powerful Mikeism.
Yeah, it was pretty much what you said. I think that those of you that know me, I don't speak a whole lot and prefer to be in the background, and I can be very direct when need be. So we would have a regular conversation, and now we've added to that. In the interview, one of the questions we'll ask is, what do you feel like if you work here that you're entitled to? And if they say anything that sounds like entitlement, like a millennial entitlement at it, or done. Like we're not going to go further. But if you say, I'm entitled to opportunity, a paycheck at the end of the week if I put in good work, those type of things make sense. But if you say, well, I'm entitled to sleeping pods in the office, which is a true story.
Nice.
We're not getting sleeping pods in the office.
Nice.
So we regularly had conversations, usually in a leadership opportunity to help somebody understand something, that said, hey, we owe you a company that's healthy, vibrant, that creates opportunities for you to grow, that gives you opportunities to make more money. We don't owe you that job. If you don't do a good job, you do not get to keep here. And for some reason, the guy who's always not doing a good job is a 40-year-old white guy. And if you keep him around versus the 20-year-old woman or something else, to me, that's unfair, unwelcome, and has no reason to be in business whatsoever. So it's 100% a meritocracy. We don't owe you the job. We owe you a healthy, vibrant company that's growing and gives you opportunities.
I love that. That's perfect segue to hand you off to Martha, who's going to talk about people. And there's one more Mikeism that I use, honestly, on a weekly basis. I said it when the girls were visiting here for Fight Club. We did a lock-in a couple weeks ago. And it is, I am a plow horse, not a show horse. I actually have that on a sticky note, and it is on my computer. And I think every business owner needs to remember that we're here to work. We're not here for the glitz and glamour and the pretty stuff. Is that accurate?
Yes.
I love it. Okay, thank you, Mike, so much. I'm going to hand you off to Martha. That was awesome. Beautiful.
Man, I've been chomping at the bit, and Megan and Michelle have both gone into what I wanted to talk to you about.
I saw the dirty looks. I just chose to ignore them.
I did too. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We love you.
Well, so you let the cat out of the bag, Mike, that I think some people can think you're scary. And yet
Is it because he threatens to kill us on a quarterly basis?
Yeah.
Is that why?
maybe,
No one is a deal. No.
but you let the cat out of the bag. What a nice guy you are. And but I know you can be strict when you need to be strict. And one of the things that I think you could help our listeners on is basically how you lead management teams and hold people accountable. Because what I see, and I'm sure you see, is I'll see somebody say, oh, I'm so frustrated with my manager. I blah, 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 blah. And I know I've asked multiple times, do they know? Have you talked to them? Do they know what you're expecting? And many times they don't. So can you talk to our listeners about how you clearly set up expectations? Because I believe that you do. And then how you hold people accountable and make a decision when you know you need more training investment versus cutting.
Yeah. Okay. So two components. The first one is we set up the accountability chart or the org chart with KPIs, or we always call them KRAs, key result areas that everyone needs to hit. And if you set those up appropriately, you'll know that you hit your financial goals based on the things that they're doing. So for us, we had to hit $60 an hour at Blue Skies of production to be able to hit our goals financially. Our girls in the office needed to book 2 jobs an hour at a $286 job average to hit our goals. So we knew what those goals were. At our electric company, we know what we have to do for sales. They know what we have to do for hours. We have our KPIs or our KRAs, whatever you want to call them, set up so they tie directly to the P&L. And so we know for sure if we're going to hit our profit goals well before we're going to hit them, because we are tracking those things ahead of time. Now, if a manager is missing or a salesperson is missing, we have a red light, green light, yellow light process, and that's wrong order. But you start out on green light. You're good, you hit your goals. You miss your goals in a quarter, you're on yellow light. We're having a conversation immediately about we're not hitting our goals and why. Now, if it's the coronavirus happened and we're doing electrical work in hospitals and we can't get into hospitals, that's a different conversation than a performance one. So we're going to understand what's going on. And then we're going to go on red light. And red light means you are now like on the block. And whether it's because of your performance or whatnot, we're going to have a conversation. Sometimes that means you're going to be, you got a 6-week window to correct it or something. But that would be where they call a performance improvement plan or something, but a very specific timeline around how long you've got to improve these. So you start on green, go to yellow, you go to red, and at red, you get a predefined plan that says this is where you're going. So that's the first one. How do you know if it's a coaching opportunity or cutting bait? We have a thinking tool or framework that we call the wise, the foolish, and the evil. So the wise person on your team, when you give them feedback, Martha, they say, oh, thank you. The truth comes to them. You say, hey, you've been being late. And they say, you know what? You're right, Martha. I have been late. I'm going to be better. Or, you know what? You need to work on your floors. You're doing great in bathrooms, but floors aren't doing and they say, you know what? I do. What could I do better, Martha? And those wise people you want to resource, coach, help, train, constantly be talking, because those are the people that have the best opportunity for growth. On the evil spectrum, we won't talk about that very much because it's I'm going to burn your business down. I hate you. All these kind of things. Like the evil person, it's guns, lawyers, and money, right? You call the police, you call your lawyer, you pay them to go away, get them away from your business. They get, they have no business being around you. In the middle is the foolish. And that we've all been foolish at times. We all operate in all these categories. But the foolish is when somebody says, you say, gosh, you need to work on your floors. And they say, it wasn't me, it was Susie. She didn't do the floors. Or they shoot the messenger. But when you tell them the truth, they immediately externalize it. Mm-hmm. They don't take it internally for coaching. They externalize it. So we'll talk to that person to a point. But then what we will say is, Susie, I appreciate that you keep saying this, but talking is no longer helping. Your quality scores based on my software on the floors are not good. We're either going to correct this in the next 2 weeks, or what would you do if you were in my shoes, if somebody consistently had bad scores on the floors? And I told them and told them and told them and told them, and they never corrected. What would you do? And they usually say, well, I'd fire them. Great. So we've agreed that in 2 weeks, if you don't correct the floors, that you are no longer going to work here. Yes, we've set a deadline. We've got an agreed upon outcome. And now it's not my responsibility how they respond to the truth in 2 weeks. The truth is they did it or they didn't. And we've already agreed what's going to happen. So that's how I handle it.
That's so interesting. And I don't know if you were thinking this, Megan, but I certainly was for a long time, but only with field staff, interestingly enough. And maybe it's because I haven't had as many people in management that report to me, but with field staff, I've always used green, yellow, red. And so I thought that was really interesting when you were saying that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Okay, I'm going to be creating this green, yellow, red, but
And a small plug, because Mike hinted at it, in quality-driven software, one of the hidden features that people don't realize is that there's an HR tracking tool. And so Martha has made a visual for when you have somebody in the yellow zone and when you have somebody in the red zone. And for us, it's made it really easy to bring somebody off the bench who wants to work for us when we've got an employee in the yellow zone. And we know that they're not gonna make it. They're not gonna turn the corner. We don't have to wait till they're fired or they're in the red zone. So small plug for quality-driven software, which makes that visual really easy. And Mike just gave us the framework. I love this: wise, foolish, and evil.
Yeah, I love it too. I love it too. And I think the reason that I came up with the green, yellow, red for field staff is when we did our KPI stat meeting at the end of each week, we would talk about, or I would ask, who's in yellow, or how many do we have in yellow? How many do we have in red? And those were, visuals that I could use for back in the day when yellow meant that, oh, we better place an ad, which today, you run an ad all the time.
All the time.
But I love it. I love it. And that's something that I'm focusing on this month with a group. And so I was very curious on your take. That was very helpful. And I hope that people listen, because I think, to me, it's all about communication and just having conversations. And for whatever reason, people avoid conversations. I mean, I don't know. I understand that they can be hard, but I've always thought that it's an injustice to the people that work for us if you don't have those conversations, because how are they going to fix anything if they don't know? You have anything to add to that, Mike? I don't want to steal you.
No, I think that that's pretty much sums up what we've always done. And from my perspective, that's my job, to have those conversations. So if I'm not doing my job, how could I expect them to do theirs?
Right.
So it's the tougher the conversation, the bigger and the better your business is typically. So let's try to have those conversations. Let's put ourselves into really uncomfortable situations, because it usually means we're growing and getting better.
Right. And you mentioned it, to have them early. When it's a small problem, because I think we get caught in a trap where it's a small problem right now, and you want to think, oh, it'll get better or go away magically. And most of the time it's not. And so having those conversations when they're small, you as the owner having to have the conversations, it's easier then, because it's a green light kind of situation. So not a red light. And if you're having the conversations at the red light stage, and that's kind of the first you're having them, where, and everybody listen to it's a whole different thing to say in passing to somebody, hey, I need you to get your quality scores up, versus calling them into the office, sitting down, laying out whatever stats and facts that you have, and saying, all right, so here's the situation. Those are two different things. To me, one is, I don't want to say passive aggressive, but it's not serving the purpose. So
I'm sure Mike has an expression for what one of them is. It's not passive aggressive. You've got something up your sleeve. What is it?
BS comes to mind for me. Chicken,
lazy.
Yeah. But yeah. And have you always been good at having those conversations?
Oh God, no. If we should have done this as all the dumb things Mike's done in business, and that would have been way more enjoyable for the listeners. Oh my gosh. No, horrible at them in so many ways, horrible at almost all the stuff in so many ways. I thought I knew everything when I started, and now I know less than I did when I started. I guarantee it.
Yeah, that's true. So, so any tips, since you said that you did not start as a great communicator and addressing the issues, any tips for how you made that turn?
Yeah, and so this is probably a philosophy for all of business, not just in the communications. There's a coaching program that I've been a part of for a long time called the Strategic Coach. And one of the concepts they talk about is you don't make the Michelangelo by putting rocks together. You make the Michelangelo by starting with a big rock and chipping away all of the other stuff until you're left with a masterpiece. So every time you chip it away, you'd look at it and go, well, I need to chip this side, or I need to do this a little bit better. So in those tough conversations, or in marketing, or in systems, or whatever it was let's try to do something, and then let's reevaluate and see what we could have done better. So I'd have the tough conversation, then realize, yeah, I really shouldn't have said that. Or the person reacted. I just had one the other day where we decided we were going to give somebody a raise. We immediately implemented that raise. Our COO told the guy about the raise, and the direct manager said, it would have been great if I would have known. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. It would have been great if you would have known, especially since it's your P&L, your budget, your KPIs, all those type of things. So again, realizing, all right, I did that wrong. Next conversation we have about raises, the direct manager has to give the raise. They have to understand it. They have to agree to it. What a dumb mistake. But now it's written down in a note on my phone that says, this is the conversations we have around around employees. And one of those is around their comp. And here's the comp plan. I know Megan's seen some of my notes from my phone on pay plans and stuff like that, that it just keeps getting better and better over time because we're still chipping away that rock.
And you're so generous. I just have to say publicly, thank you. Like, I get stuck sometimes and I feel dumb, and I call Mike or box Mike or text Mike, and I know all of us, this has actually happened. And he's just there with like the exact answer that we need in 3 different variations in plain English, some really complex stuff. So thank you, Mike, for taking the time. So appreciate you and your brain. That's just, yeah, it's great. It's great to call you friend.
Feelings mutual.
All right, Tay, I'm going to pass it back to you for homework. This has been a great hour. I apologize for being a couple of minutes late, but all right, pass it back, Tay, and start us on homework.
You got it. All right. So as we're talking about chipping away at the giant rock for your business, I want you to take this time today to really listen to the 4 to 5 pieces of homework we're about to give you. We do want you to only choose one piece of homework. This is so you can fully focus all of the energy on that piece of homework and be able to execute that this week. The thing that makes our podcast different is we do want you to execute these homework assignments and move the needle forward in your business. So again, please only choose one piece of homework. Mike, you are more than welcome to give a piece of homework at the end. We'll kind of go around from our segment kind of order and then allow you to jump on right at the tail end there. So as far as marketing goes, I'm going to challenge you to either look at your client list, look into your community, and find that talkative Nancy out there that wants to promote your business. Find that person that's proud of the work that you do, that loves working with your company, and figure out a way to use that to your marketing advantage. You're not spending a lot of dollars on that. Maybe you're giving a free trade service, as Mike mentioned, or maybe it's just having her or him go to the HOA board that they may be a part of and adding you to their vendor list. There's so many options that you can be able to do that we talked about on our segment today to really start to build your brand within your community and get that outreach from your current clientele as well as potential new clientele. So that's going to be your marketing homework this week. Sorry, it was a long one, Megan. I always do this to you.
I'm the note taker, and I'm like, this is like typing skills, but look how good I did. There you go. Okay. And when there's typos, I'm sorry. Okay, finance homework, not really finance related at all, except that I am very passionate about this, and I know Mike's very passionate about this. Stop trading time for money. Stop making excuses for why you're trading time for money. You will never get time back with your kids or your wife. You will regret it. There's nothing more important than time with your family. So or whatever you define that to be. And that is actually going to be your homework. I want you to decide on your impact filter. So Mike's was simple: faith, family, business. If it's not those three, he just says no. He doesn't have to think about it. He doesn't waste any brain power on it. Faith, family, business. I want you this week to think about what are your non-negotiables when opportunities come your way. What are things that are really important to you? And if it doesn't make the list, then you're just going to have to say no. A good book recommendation that I read 3 times last year around this was called Essentialism, kind of getting down to your core, like what makes you, happy. And then somebody thank you, whoever put that in the homework about the impact filter. This is not homework and we're not overloading you, but Mike brought up Strategic Coach. And I think this is an amazing tool. This is the impact filter from Who Not How. So when you're trying to share your vision with others, I use this anytime I delegate a task pretty much. So totally different use for the word impact filter, but it's a good one. And a reminder, because we feel really passionate about this, you cannot do all the homework. You cannot, it's physically impossible. So don't try, just choose the one that makes your heart sing. And if you get it done before next Tuesday, you can take on another one.
Love it. And your systems homework this week is to go into our group. We have a wonderful Facebook group where all of these notes and videos live. And look at what I've put in. I actually copy pasted all of my notes from 2 years ago from Mike's talk. So we've got the sheep, not a shepherd information and the employee measurement matrix, the wise, foolish, and evil, with all of the details that you may not have been able to write down very quickly. So check those out in the homework and implement them in your business, because that collective understanding about how to rank your people and how to shepherd them, I think, is really invaluable. So thanks, Mike, for that.
Okay, and your people homework. If you are having a thought of, I really wish they do this, or I really wish they were meeting this expectation, I want you to stop and think, 1, have you made it very clear what your expectations are? And 2, have the conversation with them, not in your head. Okay, that's your homework. And Mike, you want to give them some homework?
You guys did such a great job giving homework. I would say to pile on the time freedom and all of the stuff that you guys said. Make a list of the things that are frustrating and annoying in your business, and then figure out if you want to delegate, delete them, get rid of them. But just don't focus on trying to have the perfect statue today. Look at the rock and say, what's frustrating and annoying, and what can I get rid of right now to make it feel better?
Awesome.
And Mike, if anyone does want to get into contact with you, wants to reach out, pick your brain a little bit like we did for this hour, what would be the best way for them to get into contact with you?
I'm laughing because I'm like, don't.
I do, Mike.
Megan knows the drill.
He doesn't have an email. I don't know anybody who doesn't have an email. Mike doesn't have an email.
Well, you can email my email. I won't check it. Jessica will.
Yay, Jessica!
But yes, I don't have access to my own email. I don't have access to my calendar other than view only systems that I've set up so that I am not thinking about email, not being distracted by the kids. Very few people have my phone number so that I can't be interrupted during family time. However, if you want to reach out, Michael at redhookinvestments.com, and happy to help, or through any of these ladies here who know me well. And if they vouch for you, I will absolutely have conversations.
I love it. That's so good. And every week, Mike, we stop the show with a quote. And the one that I chose for today is from John Maxwell. So the biggest single way to impact an organization is to focus on leadership development. There's actually almost no limit to the potential of an organization that recruits good people, raises them up as leaders, and continually develops them. So I thought that would fit today's episode. Thank you all so much for joining us. And thank you, Mike, for making time to spend with us. We really appreciate it. Everybody have a super week, and we'll see you next week. Some of us will actually be live from the Huge, so please join us next week. Awesome.
Go
Mike, we
fight.
can't wait to see you, and we'll see everybody else next Tuesday, 7 a.m.
Next
Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Okay, go fight everybody. See ya.